Hey you guys, good afternoon. It's afternoon where I live on Gabriola Island, and I was doing a little bit of painting earlier for this video. Not me, not my video, but like for another um, thing for the Gabriola Arts Council actually. They're offering artists to have some video made, and so I said yes. But in the process of that, I was just playing around with paint and stuff, and I had a blank panel here, and so I painted this chicken on here, and I thought this was just a piece of wood that I had cleaned my paintbrushes on and stuff. But now I thought I would just come in here live and kind of do my thing. And if you show up and you want to do, and you feel like, and you're painting or you're creating in some way too, then that's super cool. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just adding collage pieces onto this panel that I will paint over all of this, and lots of it won't even be showing anymore. But this is a way that I get started, and it helps me to create the layers that I like to have in and on my paintings, and it also gives me the opportunity to have this kind of free-form expression where I'm not planning anything and I'm not trying to do anything in particular. I'm just gluing paper, because what I discovered several years ago was that just the act of gluing paper for me is kind of a satisfying experience. So I wanted to be able to have that as part of my process because I liked it. It turned out often like that a lot of what I glued on wouldn't even show up in the final cut, but that sort of didn't matter because it helped create the layers and the texture, and it also gave me a chance to do this part, which it's just one of those unexplainable things. I can't say why I find it satisfying, but I do. And you probably have the same thing with your creativity, or if you're not painting or whatever, you'll discover the things that feel kind of pleasing to you. So I'm just going to kind of paint away here, or collage away here, and I like to use old gift wrap and things that have had another life. Like this is really old gift wrap. It's been used a few times. There's something about it I like. And then I also like using, like, there's snowmen and stuff. Like, they totally don't really go with the chicken idea, but I like it when things are kind of juxtaposed that don't really belong together. So I'm just going to keep on layering this. And I might end up painting a chicken on here again. Oh, I just had the idea I could paint a horse on here, and then I could put a chicken on its back. I have this thing that I like painting. I like painting horses and putting something on their back. But I've never put a chicken on the horse's back. But I think that could be kind of cool. So there's a little chunky layer over there that's kind of... So there's lots of different... I think this appeals to my sense of kind of wanting things a little chaotic. Kind of like sometimes when you see like in tribal cultures with their clothing, where it seems like so many different things are put all together in one, and how can it even work? But it does. Totally works. And I like that. And I want to do that in my paintings too. the way that they do in their clothes. This is old wallpaper and I love it. And I'm running out of it, so there's the possibility that I'll start getting precious with it. That's what happens sometimes. Like, but I think the best creative stuff happens when we're not being all precious with it and we just use the stuff we have. If you're watching this and you just have some paper and some other paper and you just feel like doing this, just start gluing things. Just start gluing things, paper to paper even. Or if you have a painting panel, glue some paper onto your painting panel. Or onto your canvas, or it's kind of reminds me of quilt making or something. And the music that's in the background is my friend Tina Jones. She's an amazing musician. She's actually part of this group too. She's an amazing artist and musician, and in all the ways she's an artist. So I feel like can you still see that there's a bit of a bird there? You can still kind of see that there's a chicken there. But I'm going to find some other paper to put here. I'm going to use, I like the idea of using some thicker paper too. So this is some art paper that I had painted on already, so it's a bit thicker. Because I like the idea of having the paper, I like it where it's raised, like this piece of cardboard here will create like a really cool texture on this thing later. On this painting. Whatever it ends up being. So it's kind of like an overcast day here today, and I feel super mellow. I've been working quite a lot and pretty hard getting ready to offer my new course next week, Paint Your Wild Spirit. It's a lot of learning new things. Very different than coming in and making art. There's another piece that it's just a piece of paper, but it's got the paint, so I've pre-made this paper. I'm gonna glue it with the blue down because I like the idea of a little bit of white on here. Feels like that will give it a little contrast. Yeah, I'm one of those people that just likes this jumble of colors and textures, knowing that I'll be able to take this kind of wild thing here that makes no sense and turn it into a I will turn it into a painting. That's how all my paintings happen. For the most part, I put a bunch of paint on, and I put a bunch of collage, and then I put a bunch more paint on, and yeah. I want to start painting right away. I mean, ideally, I'm going to wait for some of this to dry, but I don't always. And if you're watching this and you want to just start gluing, like go get some paper and stuff, and you can start gluing some things. Even if you've never done it before, just go get some paper and start gluing paper to paper. You probably got some scrap paper or magazines or something around. So that looks pretty funny, I think, because the eye is still coming through. So, I like to put marks on with my oil pastels. I like the kind of marks. These are like oil pastels. These are not oil sticks. Oil sticks are great big and they leave a very different kind of mark. And they aren't compatible with acrylic paint. So, but all of this stuff that I use is compatible. But it just feels really nice to make that mark there. Even if I don't have a purpose for it yet. Like it will come through. It will come through later in some way or other. And then it's kind of fun to just do a big mark too. It can't be as like wild right now as I normally would be because this paper, I've just glued it and it's not totally stuck. It started to rip here, which is fine because that's going to be another kind of cool bit of texture. And that's kind of cool. So just to let some scribbles come before I decide, make the decision of what am I going to paint on this panel. There's still lots of time for this to, turn into something. But I might just do a little, I'm not sure if the chicken's going to, make it through. I don't know if the chicken's going to come into the next. In fact, I might even think I'm going to just turn this upside down. And then the chicken becomes even less important because it's turned on this side now. So yeah, like I said, ideally this would dry for a little while, but I'm just gonna come on here right now. I'm gonna try and do like just a really loose, easy kind of horse shape. Because it's one of the things that I do kind of draw, but like super, like not, I don't draw it in some like realistic way. Like none of my things are drawn like that, as you probably know. So I'm just, but I kind of am following that idea that popped into my mind of painting the horse and having a chicken. Can't really see so much until I start getting some paint into it. Like I can hardly even see my line of where my horse is here. But I feel like I can see it enough that I can start filling in. I can start filling in some of the shape with paint. And what color am I going to do my horse in? I think I'm going to paint. I'm going to paint it kind of dark. doesn't really have to be understandable right now, right? It's just playing with the idea of painting a horse with a chicken riding on the back, because that feels kind of fun. And that's what came from having that chicken. That chicken is underneath. So this is like, this is just an idea in the forming. This is an idea that's being formed as it's happening. It's not a preconceived idea. But this is how I always paint, and this is how I make my glass too. Because I don't like to be hemmed in by too many plans of what something has to look like. So it's like the body's kind of short, too short. Looks a little bit like a donkey in a way, actually, which is kind of cool. I don't mind that. Maybe it'll be a donkey. Which means the leg needs to come a little further back. And right now it looks then like it's got 3 legs, but it doesn't. I'm going to get rid of that leg. Now donkeys have, like, I'm going to just do a little tail just in case I decide, I think I'm going to make it a donkey because it's so kind of, it's kind of donkey-like, but donkeys have those big ears, right? Or a little burrow or something. I'm just using, like, I just kind of grabbed a brush. I knew that I wanted. But I wasn't planning to paint a donkey. But I kind of like it. But now that I have a donkey, I think I'm going to put a bunny on. I know, would it be cool to have a chicken? Like, I've never done a chicken on top of a donkey before. Maybe I'll just try one and see. I'm going to do a little hen. I think it's going to be kind of neat, actually, to have a little hen up here. I'm kind of excited now. Because I've never done this before. I've never had a little hen on top of a donkey. I think I could, oh, she's going to be sitting, but maybe she'd be more fun with her legs, but now I want to get a different brush, a little bit smaller. See, these are the brushes. See how well used my brushes are? It doesn't matter if your brush is all like fancy or not. Like, I totally do not use fancy brushes. I like to use a brush that's got a really stiff kind of bristle. I'm gonna have, she's just gonna be sitting here like she's a queen. This little hen. And she's riding on this flying donkey. I think this is going to be kind of cool. So you can see a little bit of that shape. I'm gonna just lighten up that green so she stands out a bit more. So I only have a little bit of paint on my brush. Like right now I'm just kind of smushing it around. This is how kind of I like to do it. It's like the feeling of it too, right? Like it's not just about what happens at the end. It's like how did it feel in the time that I was painting? So that's coming along now. So I'm going to put a little beak there. You can't see it that good yet, probably, but I'm going to put some. Now I'm going to do the comb. This is one of my favorite parts of painting a chicken, actually, is, because their combs are, chicken combs are like super cool. Plus, look at the red, like, that red is awesome. Sometimes I just clean my brush right off on the panel because panel is, it's still in its infancy in terms of what's all going to happen on this panel. But this is how I start so that it just can feel fun, right? Like, so it can just feel light and fun to start and not all serious, like, oh, I'm making a painting now, I have to get all serious or whatever. So I can try and accent that a bit more. This is a big old pencil. I like to do this too, like to scratch in, define things. Some of that just lifted up because of the glue. I'm gonna just put some paint under there because paint works like glue. Acrylic paint is kind of like glue too. So I have glue. I have the medium. That is what I was using. But if you have some paper and collage or something, just start collaging some things. Like that's how this all began. It's like the belly. Maybe I'll put some kind of ribby things down here. And his belly might be highlighted a little bit because he's got a round little belly. He's a well-fed little donkey. I think I'm going to put a little bit of pink right up in his ears right now. Because you know how like in the cartoons or in like kids' books they have such pink ears inside. And their ears are really fuzzy too, I think. That's just to begin. I don't know what's going to happen with this. I don't need to know right now. That'll all become clear as I go. But in the meantime, like, I'm enjoying this process. I'll give this chicken a name here. So the chicken is riding on the donkey. And there was a chicken underneath the donkey before, a great big one. And then there was a bunch of collaging all over it. And now, what am I going to do now? Clean these brushes a bit more. I didn't super set this up for a long-term painting situation because but like you can see there's lots of texture. It's a lot of, like it's super hodgepodge right now. It looks super hodgepodge. But I really like that. I like that stage of super hodgepodge. And I can totally simplify this whenever I want to. I like to do a great big, like that too, on a panel. When I'm partly through a panel to basics in some ways, like just to move my own energy because I've been painting a bit close. And then also this will create, like as I move forward with this will create really cool marks that will show through later. And sometimes like people get scared of making those marks as they get closer to having a finished painting. So then it's like, oh, I don't want to make that mark because it might wreck it or something. But it's okay, like the way that I do it, you can never really wreck it. You can always come back from that edge. So in this early stage, this is the time to just try everything and put everything on there. And see what you like and see what you don't like and respond from the next, the next natural impulse. Just respond from that place. You're not planning anything out. So this had a whole bunch of different things going on, and it still does. But like, I like the idea of a chicken riding on top of a donkey. I don't know, like, what about you? Do you think that's a good idea? And the donkeys, I'm just going to sort of pretend to put some eyes there. Maybe I'll just do some kind of brown. It's not gonna, still not sure how I'm gonna go around the background. I'm gonna paint around these things and get the donkey, to be like just coming forward a bit more. So I'm gonna find some other kind of paint. And see what I want to use. I might try. Sometimes, like, you can use a kind of paint that's more transparent, and then your background that has all that collaging and everything will show through, and that's pretty cool. And other times, if you use more of an opaque paint, the background doesn't really show through. I've just done a bunch of scribbling and scratching, so I'm just going to wipe that a bit, and then I'm going to, this color is called Aluride Yellow, and it's kind of a semi-transparent. I'm just going to, I'm almost out. I'm going to get this brush wet, and then I'm just going to start to I don't even know what you call it, like, I'm just going to say, like, kind of filling in this background and defining the donkey from the backdrop a little bit. And it's still leaving the backdrop showing through. Like, I really like this part here, because that's some oil pastels on top of paper with wax crayon, and it's kind of cool. You see how he's kind of starting to emerge out of that hodgepodge, super random, total mess making situation. It feels really, really fun. And then it feels fun for me to start to define him a little bit. And remember, like, this is only, you know, I'm like, oh, so I started painting over the chicken. I'm like 1, 2, maybe I'm 2 layers in on here. But he might end up being, you know, 5 or 6 or 7 layers before he comes to a place where I feel that he's completed. And that's what's so fun, right? Like, just get to keep, it's so fun to play. Now, see, I've gone over the chicken, but that's okay, because I can still bring that chicken forward again. Like, there's just no getting it wrong. You just, you know, I just get to play. Now, over here, I don't know, I'm feeling drawn to sort of changing up my background color. What do I put there? Maybe I'll just use something that's more green. It doesn't look so different, but because I think I'm going to change the color of the chicken maybe. Because now there's a lot of green. I kind of want the chicken to be noticeable. So, you know, I don't know, like maybe I'll make the chicken white. Like, that's pretty common actually, white chicken with the big red. The big red comb and everything. You can still see all the collaging through. It's a bit too much, you know, for me right now, all that collaging showing through still. But it's just another piece of the process. Like I said, like this will go on. But this is fun, right? This is really enjoyable. I'm having a really nice time. I'm listening to beautiful music, and I'm letting myself play around with this. Painting. That it's going to become, like it will be a painting. It doesn't seem like it right now, maybe. But some of this collage I want to keep because down here it's really cool. Like there's musical notes and things. I think they will look good. You probably can't see them, of course, from over there because it's... So he's coming along, but I'm gonna do the chicken. Like, see, I'm adding a bit of white here just to make that yellow a little bit more opaque, so that the background just steps back even a little bit further. But it's still yellow, and he's a funny little donkey. He kind of squat. But donkeys are sort of like that anyways. Like, so now I'm going to, I had this idea that I will paint the chicken. Just getting a bit of a smaller paintbrush. I'm going to use this, I'm using this really bright white, like this is titanium white. But look at how cool that looks when it starts to go on, because it's like it's a contrast, and having a contrast on something that's pretty busy and seemingly hodgepodgey, which it is, it's totally hodgepodgey. But that's like something's happening now. It feels like I felt that. This is what I want to be able to share with other people, is like to notice how am I feeling when I'm painting? And did that stroke feel enlivening, or did that feel like, am I feeling bored? How am I feeling? Is this interesting me anymore? But I like that. I like the chicken and it didn't totally go bright white because the paint mixed, because there was still yellow underneath that was wet. But that's how I do it. Like all my paint mixing happens right on a panel. So that's, I don't mix it on a separate tray. I just put the color on and mix. I don't very often use color straight out of the tube, but sometimes I do. And this one, cadmium red, it's just just such a really great color that I leave it. So I'm styling the comb here because it doesn't even matter if this chicken doesn't make the final cut. Like, it's okay, but for right now I need him to have been like gotten to a certain place. Now I could scratch in and make him a wing again, but I just had this impulse, and this is the other thing, like, to respond. I paint by responding to the impulse. What is the next impulse? I had the impulse to put some white dots, like the titanium white, which is the pure white, and kind of like polka dot the chicken instead of like making her, she's a hen, instead of making her more defined with a wing or something. And then, just because I feel like it, I'm just going to keep going like that. Just, again, it's just creating a little bit more interest. Yeah, so this, all this kind of greeny, yellowy white, and I am not super loving it, because I like it, but I'm not sure if that's going to stay like that. I mean, it's not. I know it's not going to stay like that, but I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know. I like to do this. Oh, so that's making something interesting. So because that gift wrap that I glued on wasn't dry, but see how it just gives, there's something else again now that creates interest. So, and the ears, I think the ears are gonna like get way bigger. Actually, that's right. Like, if I'd have put a bunny on here, then there would have been two things with big ears, and I don't know if I could have done that. But like some donkeys have bigger ears than others, and anyways, like, it's not like I'm painting realism. Right? That's why I paint like this, because this is what is my strength. And that's what I want to encourage other people. Like, what is your strength in painting if you wanted to paint? It doesn't have to be painting the perfect vase of flowers. It can be, if that's what you want. But there's just so much more room to explore with paint. Yeah. So what next? Not sure. I think I might just do one little line through it all, and then leave it to dry, and then revisit it. I'm going to use this. You can't see that so much, but a really pale turquoise. I'm gonna just kind of holding the paintbrush lightly. there. And then maybe I'll come from over there. And like those things might not make the final. I don't know. I don't know what'll make the final. But here, I was going to hold this up close so you can see. See how the gift wrap, and there's where the musical notes are, down Maya's tail. And the polka dots. There's some more collage. The big ears, big ears. We get up this corner, and this is fabric. So it's like it's got layers and textures, and you can see more of it in real. But see his little body, like all the scribbles that I made. Maybe I'll paint over them. I don't know. But right now, that was a pretty good round of application of paint and collage, and I didn't wait for the collage to dry, but there was a point way back, actually at the beginning of Tina's album. That album is called Quickening, the music I was listening to, but this where it was all gift wrap glued onto a panel. And hey, you know what? Like, this is how I love to paint. And I love to paint like funny animals and oh, let's see, that's really shocking. And yeah, I used to so much judge myself about it, and like, oh, not painting like, you know, whatever, other people. But I'm not supposed to paint like other people. I'm supposed to paint like you. I mean, I'm supposed to paint like me. And if you want to paint, you're supposed to paint like you. So, yeah. I'm going to be doing another live in this group on Thursday at 1 o'clock, and I'll be doing another demo. And then I'm going to be sharing with you actually about my course, which will be opening for enrollment next. What day did I decide? Next Thursday. I'm trying to be kind of pretty loose and easy about it, so it doesn't feel stressful for me, and it feels fun, and I get to share what I love about painting with other people in a fun, easygoing way that's not all. And so the other people, if they're not already, they get to feel the joy of just creating whatever the F you want to paint. You just paint it. So that's it. I'm going to close for now, and whoever's been watching, I really appreciate that you're here. Thank you. If you have any questions about this at all, just put them in the comments, or let me know what you thought. Tell me, what was your experience watching this happen? Were you surprised or shocked, or were you like, oh my God, what is she doing, and why would she do that? I'd love to know. I'd love to know what it was like for you what it's like for you to watch this. Really liking those dots. Like, I think I'm just going to go with my finger and make some more, because that feels good, hey? Do you get that? Do you feel that? Like this contrast of these dots? That feels really good against the background that's a bit more, well, it's a lot looser and it's not as defined, but then you put these dots and suddenly, I probably put something that's black too, that's got some really high contrast. Maybe I'll just do that still right now too, because this is what I'm like when I create. I think I'm done and then I keep going. I'm going to add some black. I'm just going to add some little black. they're not, there's not a reason in terms of like the shape I'm making or whatever, but it's more like it's giving this contrast to the rest. It would be even cooler if it was like something really precise, like a stencil or something. That's actually, I'm going to get a stencil. And I'll show you. Because it's kind of neat to see, like stencils can add this really defined thing onto a piece that's much more random. It's kind of fun. So I usually don't use super wet brush because I want it to be sharp. And this is just a stencil I made from a printout from a bird in flight. I use it a lot. I use these. I haven't used this particular one. Obviously, it's not all painted, but I use them a lot. I love that image of the bird in flight. So that's kind of fun. Like, I think I'm going to put some up here, over by the chicken. Well, behind the chicken. They're following. They're kind of like, these birds can be guardians for this journey. They are coming along to support whatever mission this donkey and chicken are on. The birds are coming along to be in support. I'm going to put another one right around here. It's kind of wet there still, but I'm going to do it anyway. Oh, so risky, you know, wet paint smearing. Not, because I can always come back later and when it's dry and make a different decision. But right now, this is my impulse, right? I'm following it. Impulse by impulse by impulse. And wow, suddenly, I really like those birds on there. I think they're great. Like, that makes me happy. That pleases me. So now I think I can leave this. See, I had all that mixture of stuff and so much going on, and then toned some of it back, added some pure white, added some pure black in a more defined thing, and I'm going to hold it up again so that you can see the bird. It's not even a super crisp. I didn't even get it on there super crisp, but it's defining still. So yeah, I'll keep you updated on this one. What happens with this little donkey? I wonder what I should name him. If you got an idea for a name, just tell me in the comments. And yeah, thanks for watching. And maybe you can come Thursday afternoon at 1 p.m. PST for another live demo. Okay, have a great day, everybody.